Welcome to the second Beyond Expo panel discussion. I'm CGTN news presenter Li Jianhua. For this session, the topic will be the latest technological innovation in medical devices. And today, I'm so pleased to be joined by Ms. Sophie Zhou, Head of Regional Public Affairs of Philips. Welcome.
Thank you.
And also Jerry Guo, General Manager of Mainland China and Hong Kong Abbott Diabetes Care. Thank you so much for joining us, Jerry. And also we have Mr. Li Xianshang, Vice President of Mindray Medical Group. Welcome. A great big welcome to the three of you. And today our topic, as I said just now, the latest technological innovation in medical devices. And we know there have been myriad technological innovations that are driving the transformation of the healthcare sector, like the adoption of cloud product life management, or we call it PLM, 3D printing and artificial intelligence. So let's go to our only lady here. So Sophie, what do you think is the latest trend in terms of medical devices,
I'm glad to share with the audience today about the Future Health Index 2022, which is the largest global survey as such initiated by Philips, analyzing the top priorities and concerns of almost 3,000 healthcare leaders in 15 countries. We just finished the survey this year, and this year the survey results show healthcare leaders embarking on a reset, refocusing their priorities as the sector emerges from the peak of the pandemic. Assessing this year's survey findings, we see three key themes emerge for this year and beyond. First is improving the staff experience. Second, bridging the gap between the promise of predictive analytics and current usage. Third, addressing threats to healthcare data security. Today, I would like to dive a little bit deeper into the first theme, improving the staff experience. We know how much the staff experience alone can directly impact the performance and the future success of healthcare facility and also patient experience, irrespective of size of the location. With the sector now facing a significant 15 million labor shortage by 2030, with direct impact on quality of life and the care, improving the staff experience has finally become a top priority for today's leaders. So I think the health technology companies should take seriously on this trend, and we do our innovation around these top priorities.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point you mentioned, that is staff experience. Usually we focus on patients, it's all about your patients, but now you reverse it by focusing on your staff experience. And how about Jerry? What do you think is the latest trend of technological innovation in terms of medical devices in your company, in Abbott? I know that you are quite experienced in healthcare industry in the US, Singapore, and China, especially when it comes to diabetes-related diseases.
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, having me in this panel discussion. And I agree with what Sophie just mentioned. I think that's very interesting, and I think a very relevant perspective as well. And based on my experience, I think the one thing in terms of the trend, I definitely see less invasive or a non-invasive medical device, because I think this is quite critical. In the past, I would say 20 years, we have seen medical device evolved from, very traditional, very invasive. You have to do a lot of complex operation to what we have today. We have a lot of technology and medical device, basically very, very little invasive. I think that's provide more comfort and convenient to, our patients as well as healthcare professionals. I think another trend we have seen is really about the digitalization of a medical device, because in the past, people think about a digital medical device is more like the equipment we see in the hospital or medical rooms, right? But I think right now I think the industry as well as our customers are really focused on how we can digitalize our medical device. For example, we have seen, using medical device, we can gather more information about our patients, right? We know their health condition much better, so we can make a better diagnosis and better treatment decisions of, through our healthcare professionals. For example, I can give you one example. Abbott is the first company actually came up with a new technology called flash glucose monitoring. So, for example, in the past, we know people with diabetes, they have to prick their finger every day. It's very painful, right? Nobody want to prick their finger and to do the blood sugar testing. But with our basically non-invasive technology, you can wear a small sensor on your arm for 14 days, 2 weeks, and you can see your glucose level, every time, anywhere. So it's give much comfort and convenience to our patients, and also help them to get more information about their diabetes status, so the doctors can make a better medical decision based on the data.
Oh, that's the new device that you have rolled out this year, right? When it comes to diabetes.
Actually, we brought this product to China back in 2015. So this year actually is our 6 years anniversary, launch in China. So yeah, so for example, in China, we have over 500,000 patients are using this technology, which is really going to help people to better manage their diabetes and hopefully can prevent the complication of diabetes as well.
Oh, thank you so much. This is very interesting gadgets that you have invented and brought to China right now. And also let's go to Mr. Li here, Vice President of Mindray Medical Group. So what do you think is the latest trend when it comes to medical devices, the innovation of them? I know that Mindray has an array of products, including patient monitoring, ultrasound, radiology, and especially ventilation support devices, especially now when the coronavirus is still there. So ventilation, I know that last year that you have sold a lot of ventilators to India in particular, right? So what do you think is the latest trend right now?
Okay. From my perspective, one of the technology innovation is building a medical ecosystem. So the innovation in a medical ecosystem, including interconnection of medical device to obtain the clinical data, and big data analysis and artificial intelligence. Mindray has done a lot of work in this field. We taking advantage of our multi-product line. We not only build an ecosystem that derived from clinical workflow, so we can achieve the equipment integration and interoperation, and even intelligent closed loop control. I think that's all of these technologies are the trend of the medical innovation, and the goal of the innovation is to improve the quality of clinical diagnosis and treatment, and improve the efficiency of hospital management to support the high quality development of hospital. I think that's one of the trend.
Yeah, the trend is the new ecosystem, and as Jerry said, that is digitalization, right? And I know when it comes to Philips, Philips believe that distributed care is the future of healthcare. So it is very much related to the ecosystem that Mr. Li mentioned, also digitalization that Jerry said just now. So what is distributed care? Is it something like ecosystem?
Yeah, I can't agree more with Jerry and Mr. Li. I think our points are all relevant and towards the same direction. Actually, the trend towards out of hospital care was already well underway before the pandemic. As this year's our Future Health Index report reveals, healthcare leaders now view extending care delivery beyond the hospitals as their highest priority after staff satisfaction and retention. That's because the healthcare cost growing very fast, and there's a growing awareness that in order for healthcare to remain affordable and sustainable, it needs to move into lower cost settings whenever possible to address people's health issues as at a much earlier stage and ideally prevent them. Today, thanks to digital technology, Jerry and Ms. Lee also mentioned, we see the rapid emergence of a new paradigm. We can bring care much closer to the patient, whether this is virtually or physically, at home or in the community. This is what we call distributed care. We have working with our partners around the world to bring many distributed care solutions to the patients through our partnerships, such as mobile intensive care unit, handheld ultrasound scanner, and AI-based ultrasound application, and also clinical grade home-based monitoring solutions, etc. We highly admire and appreciate the commitment of China government in improving accessibility of the basic healthcare in China, and also the application of digital technology in China healthcare. China government did and is doing a great job in providing basic healthcare to 1.3 trillion people in a short period of time. We're inspired. Yeah, we are inspired to see the Health China 2030 strategy also sets targets for early diagnosis and prevention. So it's true that the ecosystem will play a critical role for distributed care. And also, I think in the ecosystem, the insurance will play a critical role.
Insurance. And as you said, yeah, it is government-driven at this point. And let me jump to Mr. Li Xiansheng. And in 2021, in an interview, you said MConnect is shaping the future, inspiring a new age of connection and connecting patients with their medical provider. So you talk about the concept of MConnect. Is MConnect the ecosystem that you talk about, and also distributed care that Sophie just said? What is MConnect?
MConnect is a connection of the medical device, and so we know that the future is the era of big data, but nowadays the volume of clinical data is too much, while the value of data is too little. So on one hand, a medical device generates huge amount of data. But on the other hand, there's too little value information that we can use. So Mindray's MConnect solution not only connect medical device, but also convert data into useful information, valuable information. Based on this interconnection, we have established a high-quality database using AI technology to get valuable information from big data. And so we can give an early warning score and a summary report for the patient. So this solution can help clinicians to understand the patient's status more early, more clearly, and more quickly, so as to make an accurate clinical decision. So I think that's the value of the MConnect.
So Jerry, your expertise is diabetes-related diseases. I know that patients who have diabetes usually need constant monitoring. And of course, data and digitalization could be something big in your industry. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think first of all, the diabetes is really a big threat to the entire global healthcare system, right? Because, for example, if we just look at China itself, right? We have 120 million people in China have a diabetes, right? And that means...
Right, 120 million.
Yes, that means 1 out of every 10 people live in China has, a diabetes, which this number is very significant. And also from a healthcare cost perspective, the Chinese government spent over 600 billion RMB a year to treat diabetes-related, complications and disease. So again, diabetes, we all know this is a chronic disease. It's threatening, our overall healthcare system, but more importantly, it's really threatening the entire health of the global population. And so from that perspective, how we can have a more effective way to prevent diabetes from happening, and also if it happens, how we can slow the progression of diabetes or even reverse the diabetes, I think is a big challenge for the entire healthcare system. But I think it's very doable. For example, I think when we come to diabetes, the one thing we have to think about is how to monitor it, right? Because if you don't know your glucose, you don't know you have a diabetes, how are you gonna do the right thing to prevent it from happening or reverse your diabetes progression? So I think the technology or innovation plays a big part of it. Mr. Lee just mentioned, big data. We have a lot of data out there, but how we can create a value of the data, I think that's something, I think the industry as well as Abbott have been focused on. I mentioned the product or the technology we developed, which is Freestyle Libre. It gives the patients and our doctors a lot of information, and that information can help the patient to make a better decision. For example, I used to drink, fresh juice, almost every day. And I think it's very healthy. It's probably healthy to some degree, but if you wear a technology can show how your glucose or your blood sugar jump up after you have that glass of fresh juice, you may take a second thought, right? And also, I think from doctors, we know patients want to cut their carbs and they want to take their medications. But how do we know they're actually doing it? But with a continuous glucose monitoring or the new technology we have out there, so doctors actually can sit in their office and see how the patient is doing, their glucose level after the lunch or or the dinner. So that gives doctors a more tools to help make a better intervention with the people potentially have diabetes. I think that's probably how we're gonna help to reduce the incidence rate of diabetes in the long term.
Mm-hmm. So you're gonna have this device, this gadgets pretty soon that we can monitor our blood sugar or blood glucose.
Actually, it's already available. Actually, it's already available in China. And we, as I mentioned, we have 500,000 Chinese people are using it. I think the more important thing is after we have this technology, how we can use it by working with the healthcare professionals as well as patients to take the most benefit out of it. Yeah.
So we know that the coronavirus is still rampant and it's still there. So we haven't completely got rid of coronavirus pandemic yet. So how do you think that this pandemic has affected your research and development when it comes to your medical devices, Sophie?
Yeah, I think local innovation is our answer. At Philips, we're not only provide innovative products to customers, but work side by side with our customers to identify and implement meaningful and customized solutions. By moving from a transactional to a transformational relationship, where we together tackle the toughest challenges specific to our customers. So the index, healthcare index survey is the initiative. We take things 2016 across 15 countries. The purpose of the survey is to find out the most critical and prioritized needs of our customers, healthcare decision makers, and then the industry can use the information collected as a reference to work together on the solutions together. China is the second largest market of Philips globally, and we actually went to China since 1920s. We had set up our first joint venture in China since 1985. We are committed to a truly localized global company in China by leveraging global innovation with local insights, driving local innovation and the local manufacturing and partnering to local ecosystems. Philips is now expanding its business footprints in China across end-to-end, covering R&D, manufacturing, go-to-market, sales, and service. Recently, we announced consolidate all innovation resources in China, covering products, system, and software to expand and speed up innovation in China. We have delivered many impactful innovations in China by our local team, including helium-free magnet technology, which tremendously reduces the customer cost and routine maintenance of MR, and the AI recon, 3D camera, and precise intervention technology are created by Philips local CT team to for the value and the performance CT products, not only for China, but also for our global market, aiming to reduce dosage, improve workflow efficiency, and patient safety. Philips China is fully in line with the government agenda outlined by Health China 2030. We are confident to build a healthy ecosystem in China together with our partners and also with our competitors.
Mm-hmm. So it is about internationalization and localization here, as you mentioned just now. And Mr. Li Xianxiang, so we know that we're talking about the coronavirus pandemic, and of course your company has done a lot of work, especially when it comes to your ventilators. You sold a lot of them to India. And then how do you think that the coronavirus pandemic has affected your research and development? Did you switch a lot of your attention or your focus to some new devices fighting against the pandemic?
Yeah, of course. The COVID-19 is a big challenge for all the companies in medical device industry. And I think all the companies are doing some new product to for the COVID-19. For Mindray, we also developed a series of new products, not only for COVID-19 but for the clinical needs. And so our innovation concept is patient-centered and clinical need-oriented, not for the competition-oriented. You know, most of the Chinese companies are competition-oriented, but they are a follower. But for Mindray, we are not just a follower. We are a change from the competition-oriented to the clinical-oriented. We focus on the clinical pinpoint, and our innovation is based on the clinical scenario and the workflow, and to improve the quality and the efficiency for diagnosis and the treatment for the COVID-19. And we are striving to make Mindray one of the innovation leader. Just like Philips and Abbott, we know that Philips and Abbott are the global leader in the medical industry. So we hope to work together with them to fulfill our commitment to make healthcare within reach for global customers.
Yeah, I like what you said just now, to make healthcare within reach, to make it affordable. So, Jerry, do you agree with that? How can we make sure that healthcare management can be affordable? And we've been talking about digitalization and also about like constant monitoring of patients, but it needs a lot of money, to be honest. How can we make sure that medical care can be manageable or can be reachable?
Yeah, definitely. I think I totally agree with Mr. Li just saying. I think accessibility is the critical part of any innovation or medical device, because doesn't matter how good your medical device is, if it cannot be, it's not affordable, cannot be accessible by the patients, it really doesn't provide any value to the society. I think there are probably two things we need to look at. One is when we look at the value of the product, we have to really look at beyond the product itself. Because in many cases, when we have a new technology or innovation come to the market, usually it comes with a higher cost because there's a lot of research and development costs going to that. But when we look at the overall benefit, or especially health economic benefit of the technology, may beyond just the product itself. For example, use our product as example. If we can use the technology to prevent the complication of diabetes, the cost saving on the healthcare system probably is much bigger than probably the cost of the technology itself. So that's something I think that's why I think, regardless international company or, Chinese company, we have done a lot of health economics, studies trying to demonstrate the value of medical device or innovation on the entire saving on the healthcare system. I think that's something I think, as the industry, as the payer, as well as the healthcare community, I think we all need to work together to put a very good model to demonstrate what's the true value of innovation. And the second thing I would say, definitely as an international company, we definitely want to make sure we can provide a more affordable, technology to, the patients. I think that's why I think regardless it's Abbott, Phillips, or any company out there, we like to work with, the Chinese government to come with, a good system in order to provide affordable healthcare to everybody, in China. So I think that's also come to the 2030, Health China, goal, right? It's not only have the best technology, but also has the best affordability in order to provide the technology to every single, patient in China.
Yeah, you're right. Affordability is always the key when it comes to healthcare industry. So thank you very much for your wonderful discussion on this panel. And we have once again Sophie Zhou. I think because apologies for the bad connection, I think we have lots of Sophie Zhou here. And also Jerry Guo, General Manager, Mainland China and Hong Kong Abbott Diabetes Care, and also Mr. Li Xiansheng, Vice President of Mindray Medical Group. Thank you so much. And I hope that this platform could be conducive for you further or probably future or potential collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. Have a nice day.